Hi, everyone. Diana Rankin here. So good to see you all on our Friday afternoon, where we answer your questions, or Philip answers the questions that you've sent in. Philip is my spirit guide, as you know, and I have a heating pad that I keep on my back. Even today, it's too warm for it, but it always is nice in the winter, so I haven't put it away yet. And there she is, our little Miss Piper. She's over there hiding behind the files and over by. Sometimes it's a little cooler there, but she'll come over and get on the um, her bed. It's what I'm trying to remember. Well, Judy says, "Hi, Diana. I'm so looking forward to Philip's answer to my question. Thank you. I have to listen to replay as I've got a class now." Well, thank you, Judy. We appreciate the question. And for those of you who have a question, if it's personal, we ask you to give me a call and we'll set up a session. If it's of interest to the whole audience, then please just put it in the comments below or email it to me. If you want to set up a session, go ahead and call me. My phone number's on the website, and the website's below, which is just my name. But if you have a question, go ahead and write it out for me, if you would. I'd appreciate that. I want to tell you that every Friday, around 4, I think it's 4:25 Eastern Daylight Time now, but Eastern Time, my newsletter comes out, and it's an article that hopefully is of help to you. And it also links to my blogs, which you can always go on my website and read the blogs. And it also has a link to Piper's latest story. So those of you who are following, and my newsletter is free, just please go ahead and sign up for it. Would love to have you. And we don't do anything with those, with whoever signs up. Your email is private. It's yours. I only do is send you the newsletter. Hello, Juliet. She says, "Hello, Diana. Great question, Judy." Yes, it is. It is a really good question. And I think not only for the men in our audience, but certainly for the women, and whether we're involved with the man in our life or not. We have brothers and sons and uncles and husbands and boyfriends and whatever. So yes, I think this is an interesting question. So go ahead and send us your question and we'll get to them. And I do try to kind of group them together. So if we have, two questions that are similar, we might answer one week and the other the next week, unless something else comes in. Anyway, I want to also tell you, and you'll see this on in addition to the newsletter, which again is free, I do hold sacred circles by Zoom once a month. There is a minimal fee for that. It's only $20, just enough to kind of cover the cost. And we keep it to a low audience, so there aren't that many. But Sacred Circle is where I always tell a little story. Then after the story, we do a guided meditation to help for our personal healing and also planetary healing. And then for anyone who wants it, and usually everybody in Sacred Circle does, Philip, we get a message, a personal message for you from Philip. And I explain all that in Sacred Circle and go into more detail. But for now, I want to go ahead and read you the answer to our question today, and then we will get a message from my spirit guide Philip. And as many of you know, it's an oracle book, so each page is a different message. And yes, it is available through Amazon, or just go to my website and it'll take you there. Okay, our question is Judy who wrote it. Thank you. And usually I keep you anonymous, but if you care to tell us who made the question, that's great. I'm fine with that. I just don't tell unless you say tell the world who I am. I just say one of our listeners. Okay, here we go. By the way, I am thinking of, and so your feedback would be helpful. I don't know where I'm going to find the time to do this, but I am thinking of possibly doing a podcast that tells the stories of ancient mythologies, ancient stories, and how those stories affect our lives today and help us heal and change the world. So I'm thinking of doing that, but I haven't had time to really look at it any more deeply. And I have been asked Are you going to turn Phillip's stories into a book? The answer is yes, but I don't want to do photographs, and all of the stories now have photographs. So I am seeking an illustrator. So if you know an illustrator who could take care of Piper's stories, have them get in touch with me and we'll talk. All right, here we go. Choosing love in this time of so many changes can be challenging. I wonder if all this change is more difficult for men. Here's what Phillip says to that. There are several factors in play when considering this question. We must look at the energy, at the individual's energy and mindset, even age. We could go on, but needless to say, we will look at the main overreaching reasons we say yes to the question. Are the changes taking place in the world more difficult for men than for women? The answer is yes. Here's why. You can probably hear a little girl who is moving about. So you may hear her paw nails on the floor. And you may also hear, I do have the windows open because we're having a beautiful day here. And you may hear the birds outside. Okay, Phillip goes on to say, excuse me, as was acknowledged in the original text, with the question is that choosing love over fear is challenging for all humans. Of course, the person's path has a great deal, as a of course, a person's path has a great deal with how they act or react in life. Phillip is referring to one of our other videos here when he's talking about the original text with the question, is that choosing love over fear is challenging, is when he was talking about how do we get through these changing, difficult, evolving times. And he goes into the explanation of choose love over fear and how we do that. But that's another video. But that's what he's referring to here. Excuse me. As one grows in their spirit and balances the energies in their human life, they become more aware of how their thoughts make up their life. They become more aware they can choose love, joy, happiness. They learn how to make wise choices that allow them to make their lives fuller and lived more from their spiritual natures than from the human nature. When we speak of balance, we speak of balancing the spiritual and the human nature, and also balancing the feminine and masculine energy. I want to stop for a moment because I just want to remind all of you, I am so far from perfect. And when Phillip says that we're learning that balance, believe me, I'm learning it too. While in spirit world before earth birth, a soul may in part choose life as a woman to better understand the feminine energy, which charges in the right side of the brain and controls in the left side of the body. I found that interesting. Charges in the right side of the brain and controls in the left side of the body. Feminine energy is the taking in of others' energy. It is the emotional energy of empathy and understanding. Masculine energy is stored in the left side of the brain and expresses less emotion and more logic. Those who need to learn grounding or mathematics may choose life as a man. It must be understood that men are not necessarily more logical and women more emotional. And I think that's an important point that we need to pay attention to. It must be understood that men are not necessarily more logical and women more emotional. All lives, every incarnation is to experience the spectrum of both sides of the brain and find balance. It is to say, the chemistry of the feminine body and also the feminine indoctrination give women a step deeper into emotional understanding, just as the male chemistry and social indoctrination give men a step deeper into the logical understanding. That really made sense to me. Didn't really think about it, but yeah, the body chemistry, of course, and the indoctrination that we get in our societies. Now let us look at history of humans and how that is now affecting men and women in this great shift. At one time, the worship of higher beings was for both goddess and gods. This then shifted to the worship of a god, the masculine. Around 50 Earth years ago, the feminine energy of the goddess began rising to bring balance back to Earth. Those who express more in the masculine energy may feel more threatened by this rising than those who express in the feminine energy. This is not to say all men are threatened or that all women aren't. It is to say those who are more comfortable with the feminine energy will find it easier to express the energy of love. For thousands of years, the male energy has been worshipped. This is the energy of outward push rather than the taking in. This is expressed in the human body's anatomy and in the act of sexual intercourse. Once given the great power of the God that filters into human life as the man, it is not given up easily. Thus, the difficulties of the transitional evolution taking place on Earth at this time. Added to this genetic and ancestral heritage, there is also the matter of family and social conditioning. We also note that change is often easier for younger people because they don't yet have as deeply set brain grooves that power thought. Whether on the large evolutionary scale or on the individual scale, change is difficult for many humans. Often a human feels fear, threatened by change, especially if that change decreases what they perceive as power and control. As the feminine energy continues to rise and the goddess takes her rightful place beside the god, they will meld together and become one, neither goddess or god, but one energy balanced. This then will be played out in human life as male and female become balanced as one energy. It is then we will know love. Hello, Jamie. She's from St. Louis, Missouri. Or Missouri. I'm not sure how Missourians say that. I always say Missouri, but maybe it's Missouri. I've heard both. So good to have you with us, Jamie. Well, this is interesting. I think for men, many men that I've talked to, there's a misunderstanding of what the feminine energy is. And I get feedback that says, but I'm very masculine. And well, all right, but you can love. Do you love someone? Well, yes, I love so and so. I love my children. I love my wife. I love my girlfriend, whatever. I love nature. I love walks. Well, that's the feminine energy because you're expressing that love. You're taking it in, you're feeling it, and you're allowing it to go back out. It's a cycle. We take it in, and that's love. So men sometimes when they hear feminine energy, they want to stand up for the masculine. And so that can be a little scary for them. And I think that's a lot of, in part, what Phillip is saying here, but that we have to have that balance. As women, we have to have the balance of the male energy. We need that. We need that kind of strength. It's not about macho. It's about power, self-power. It's not about power over others, not at all. It's about power over ourselves and being able to express what we're feeling and express who we are. Not letting others take any advantage of us, but living in a place of love so we understand what the other needs and, if possible, provide that. Anyway, shall we get our message? As you know, we just kind of flip through and any page, and there we go. And I'm hearing right. So if you heard right, our intuition's in sync, and that's our message for the week. If you heard left, that's a message you need to pay attention to. So here we go. Right is you recognize that which you are. You recognize that which you are. So I think when two of us come together and fall in love, whether man and woman, or two men or two women, or whatever, when we come together and we fall in love, we're expressing, both of us, expressing that balance of masculine and feminine energy. When we love, we're adding joy to the world. So we recognize others who live in this place of love. You recognize that which you are. Do we always live there? Oh, some do. They're the masters. But even the masters, I think, have times away. I'm not a master, and believe me, I have times where I'm not living in love. We just return to it. That's all. So don't beat up on yourself. Just keep returning. Okay, if you heard left, you might be going through something right now because it's heavy weather heavy weather helps hone a sailor's skill. Heavy weather helps hone a sailor's skill. And so that kind of has something to do with what we're talking about today. Also, because it is saying we really know love because we know fear, and we know that which is not love. And you've heard me say it many times before. There's love and there's fear. Everything is one of those emotions. What are you going to choose, my friend? Keep returning to love. Never beat up on yourself for leaving love and feeling fear or anger, because that helps hone our abilities to feel and express more love. I love you, my friends. Thank you for the love that you receive, or that you're able to receive from us. That's a receiving. That's the feminine energy. Thank you. And from all of us here, we send you love. Thank you for the love that you send to us. I look forward to your questions. Until then, so glad some of you could meet us today live. And for those of you who are unable to make it live, we're seeing you anyway and sending you love. Thank you. And again, Judy, thank you for the question. Bye for now.